Hi players, bonjour from Geneva. My name is Asaf and welcome to my channel Easy Board Games. Today we're going to have a review for Unconscious Mind that was published by Fantasia Games. Before getting started, let's dive in and see what this game is all about. In Unconscious Mind, which is a Euro game of worker placement, tableau building, drafting, and some other small things, we're going to play one of the four contemporaries of Sigmund Freud, which is probably the most well-known psychoanalyst of all time. I'm guessing, I don't know, don't hold me to it. In any case, in this game that is going to last for us a few rounds until the Sigmund Freud marker is going to pass all the way up to here, in each turn we'll be able to do one of three things. The first thing that we will be able to do is to play one of our ideas. So this is the player board that we're going to have alongside with this insight dial that is going to be connected just like this. We're going to take one of the ideas that we have in our possession and we're going to place it somewhere over here on the meeting table. If you want to take one of the actions 2 times, basically you can take 2 ideas and place them together, pointing to one of the actions that you would like to take. We have here a few actions. On the top row, we'll be able to take one of these tiles, notebook tiles, and we'll be able to place it in our player board. That is the tableau building aspect that we have in this game. At the middle row, we'll be able to either walk in the city from one location to another, either with our professor or with actually Freud himself, and then activate that location, depends on which district we are situated. Over here, we'll be able to play into our playing area one of the research cards that we already have in our hand, or actually to publish a few researches into one treatise. Over here, we're going to have something that is related to the insight dial. This is one again of the resources that we're going to use in this game. We'll be able to push the insight marker to other levels. Over here, we'll be able to just take one insight and place it on the first step of each color. Over here, we'll be able to draw one of the research cards, and over here, we'll be able to walk up to 3 steps with Freud. Now, every time we'll be able to walk a different amount of times because basically we're going to turn only like this in the city itself. That was the first thing that we'll be able to do. Again, that is placing one of our ideas. After we have executed everything regarding the action, we're going to see at which row we have placed those ideas, and then we're going to advance with our inkpot that number of steps, again clockwise, and every time that we're going to stop somewhere, we're going to activate something. I'm not going to go too much into it because this is not how to play, but just for you to know that different locations have different effects. Just a small example, if I'm stopping over here in the first position, I'll be able to choose one of the unlocked columns that I have unlocked. That means without an idea that we're going to unblock every time, and activate the entire column. Over here, I will be able to activate basically the entire row and so on. The second thing that we'll be able to do is to treat one of the clients, one of the patients that we have already in our office. And I've placed this over here, even though it's supposed to be next to the player board. But again, this game is kind of huge, so I had to divide it a little bit. But in any case, over here, we can see that we have 2 patients. That is not how the game starts, actually. And what we can see over here, that the patient card has actually 6 hearts. When you're taking a patient, you're taking not only the patient card, but also this transparent layer that is called a grief layer. So we're going to put it together, and then according to the number of hearts that you have here, you're going to move this marker over here to the number of hearts. Then you're going to have 2 dream cards. The top one is going to be the manifest dream, which is what we can see over here. And the bottom card is going to be a latent dream, which is something that we're going to blindly draw from this deck. Now, every time that we would like to cure a patient, and we can actually cure 2 patients at the same time, we'll need to pay the resources that we can see over here. Those resources correspond to the insight dial that we have over here. So here, for example, I will need to have at least 1 insight on the highest level in the red track, and also 1 in the highest level of the green track. When I want to pay it, I just take this marker and slide it all the way down to the middle. That is like the starting point, the 0. And then what it says that I'm going to remove this card and take actually the bonus that I have over here. Here I'll be able to cure the patient for therapy points. So from 6, we're going to do 1, 2, 3, and 4. And pay attention that we have just crossed the catharsis symbol. So that means that the grief flare is going to go out. We're going to receive here some bonuses, some victory points sometimes. And then also we're going to have some effects that are going to stay with us until the end of the game. Sometimes it's going to be an effect that will be triggered every time we're doing something. And sometimes it's going to be end of game victory points. That depends, of course, which type of client we have taken, either a routine client or a study case. The third thing that we'll be able to do in our turn is to recall our ideas. So obviously, like every worker placement, at some point you just don't have workers anymore and you have to recall them back. Over here, it's an action, so you're going to count how many different actions you have taken until you have recalled them. And according to that, we're going to take cups of coffee. That is with the iconography that we have over here. So cups of coffee, it's another resource that will be able to do some things in this game. We're going to recall them back, and then we're going to take something that is called either a district bonus, or we're going to take a location bonus. That is everything that we can see over here. I'm not going to go to it again, but this is a good way to score some really important bonuses like a heart-shaped box and stuff like that, etc. Now, every time that we're going to do something that involves this specific symbol that we have over here, we're going to move on top of our own reputation. We're going to start moving with Freud's reputation. This is actually something that is going to push the game forward, and also is going to trigger the end of the game once we're going to go from this location to this one. At this point, we're going to finish the round, then we're going to do one last round of all the players, and after that, we're going to go to the end game scoring. Now, guys, I can continue talking about this game much more, but this is in general the overview. Again, we have these great ideas, which is another resource. We can use it to do different things because we have a lot of things we can do freely in this game as much as we want, as long as we have the resources. We have over there some goal tiles, which are going to help us during the game and at the end of the game scoring and so on. But I think this is where I'm going to cut the overview, and we're going to dive in directly to the review itself. So as always, you guys, let's start with the most basic thing, and that is to set up the game and also to learn this game, to teach this game, how simple it is, difficult, etc. So I think that a lot of elements in this review are going to intertwine together, basically. Because I think that there are a lot of things that are connected together. So let's start with the setup itself. You open the box for the first time. I do have to tell you that arranging the box for the first time is quite the task, especially if you have taken the deluxe version of the game. I have no idea about the retail or about the basic pledge that we had over in Kickstarter, but this is the deluxe slide. That means that everything is condensed into one box. I find it more practical, but more of that a little bit later. But for the first time, you do have some work with all the content that you have in this box. But after you have sorted out everything, I think that the box and the insert, of course, inside of it makes the setup of the game relatively easy. And I'm saying relatively because, as you can see, we do have here a lot of moving parts, a lot of components that we need to spread across multiple boards, okay, or playmats, as you can see over here, but again, more on that a little bit later. So setup is okay. It's not War of the Ring, it's not Voidfall, but also it's not going to be a 10-minute setup. I think it's going to take a little bit more time than that. Besides that, you have set up the game, now you want to start learning it. I'm not so sure here. I want to say that in general, the game itself, mechanism per mechanism, is not a complicated game to understand. Okay, placing a worker, let's call it, doesn't matter, it's an idea. You're placing a worker, you take an action, but then also you have to see at which row you have placed the worker and start moving your ink pot and then trigger another thing. So again, mechanism per mechanism, the game is not complicated, but there are a lot of small details that you kind of need to remember. Otherwise, the game is going to be kind of destroyed. Okay, not completely, but it is going to change the outcome. Now, the thing is that most of the things, okay, in this game are written somewhere on one of the boards, either on the main board, either on your own player board, either in your other board that you have as your office, things are written, but to look for them and understand exactly how things go, that might be a little bit more challenging. I had really the chance that a good friend of mine, Julian, taught me this game, so it went much smoother, even though there were small mistakes over there. I think that in 20 minutes, something like that, I was already able to understand the flow of the game. And of course, after 1 or 2 rounds, the game was already pretty much fluid, and we were able to play a full game quite easily, which was a real pleasure. But I do think that if I would have taken the rulebook from the beginning, you're starting with general concepts and stuff like that, even though I never kind of understood the fact like that in some rule books you have like overview general concepts, because in the general concepts there are a lot of things that you still don't understand. So what happens is that you need to go over it, okay, to see how you're actually doing your turn, and then every time that you see some sort of like a term, you need to go back to the general concept and see what it is exactly, which is not so comfortable, but I guess maybe it's the norm in board gaming or something like that. So it is what it is. For me, it's a little bit less comfortable. I prefer to directly dive into what I can do in my turn and then just reveal all the different terms that we have in this game. So I think that learning the game might be a little bit of a challenge. Again, not because the mechanisms themselves are extremely difficult, just because you have a lot of small things that you have to remember. I'll give you another example. Like the great Bill Burr said, you want to make, I'll give you an example. Over here, when we're looking at the grief layer, okay, and also we're looking at one of the dreams, the top dream that we have, if you're matching basically the symbol that you have, okay, I'm not so sure you can see it on the camera, but trust me on that, okay, you have here like 2 icons of eyes. Then when you're going to treat this dream and you're going to remove the grief layer of the card, you will be able to receive one of the heart-shaped box, which is a super important element because you'll be able to treat patients without actually resolving dreams. Again, doesn't matter what did I just say, because this is not how to play. And it's an important thing, which is written, okay, over here in a very small, oh, sorry about that, in a very small iconography here in this place, but it's not something that really pops into your eyes, okay? You need to know this rule in order to look over here and say, ah, yes, now I understand it. And you have here also other things that you're not sure what they are. Now, it's not to say that the iconography is not good over here, but I would like to say that probably I would like here a better player aid, which would have been, I think, extremely helpful just to understand what exactly we can do on your turn, what is the turn of events, what is the small iconography that you have, and a few more things. And they could have also done it like in a thematic way, you know, like your professor's notebook or something like that, just like we have in Tricarion, for example. But this is how it goes. So learning the game, I think it's a challenge. I think if you have a good how to play or playthrough video, then I think it will be easier for you just to understand the flow of the game, because again, mechanism per mechanism, the game is not complicated, just the small details. One more, I swear to God, one more before I'm forgetting. When you're publishing one of the treaties, okay, you need to make sure that you are going to put one of your own player insights over here. This is something that the iconography here is so small and you don't really remember, because even in the action on the meeting table itself, it doesn't say it, okay? So you need to kind of remember that you have to at least unlock one of the rows or one of the columns on your player board in order to release one of the markers that we have over here, the player insight. So you will have it in stock. So when you're going to publish this treaty, you have to take one and place it over here. If you don't have this, you cannot do this. It's kind of an important, and I don't think that just having this thing over here is helpful. I think they could have added something over here just to remind us. After you're going to play this game 5-6 times, obviously you're not going to need it, but we need a small kickstart over here to this game. So that was about setup and learning the game. Now let's talk about probably the most important thing, and that is the gameplay itself, okay? The experience, how does it feel, downtime, etc. So I think that just to start with, I think that this is a very good game. I would say medium leading to the heavy Euro games that we have. So something like between medium and heavy, but leaning toward the heavyweight. I don't think that it is one of the most complex Euro games that I've seen, but also you have here a lot of things that you need to think about. What I appreciate in this game is that in your turn, you don't have 1 million things that you can do, okay? So you can do either placing a worker and take the actions, whatever reactions you're going to have over there, or you're going to treat your client, your patient in your office, or you're going to recall your ideas, and then again, you're going to trigger some chain effect. So I appreciate it because it's kind of narrowing everything down. Do this, this, or this. And then if you're, again, already used to the game after a few rounds, everything comes a little bit more automatic. And to be honest with you, a part of maybe some specific actions or some combos that you're going to trigger, turns here are rather quick. And I'm saying it because it's super important not to have in this kind of games a huge downtime. And also I remember that when I played my first game with Julian, I was kind of on the edge of the seat, just like this, like waiting for my turn, seeing what he's doing. How can I trigger something after he moved? He moved Freud. What can I do to just jump on that and do something as well? Oh my God, he drafted the patient that I wanted, etc. So this game, in my opinion, even though it seems like it's a long Euro with every turn taking a lot of time, it's actually not that long. Sometimes, yeah, turns are going to take a little bit more time because when you're going to, for example, again, trigger something here, you're going to take new tiles, then you're going to place them over here, and then you need to go actually one by one trigger it. Again, the actions here are not really long, okay? It's just pay something to gain two other things, a classic Euro game. Sometimes it's going to take a few more minutes. But again, relatively to the scale of this game, the downtime here is really not an issue. So this is something that I truly appreciate. But even though the actions themselves are kind of quick and short, everything that you're going to do is going to have a long-term effect later. Depends on which client you decided to cure or to treat. If they had end game victory point bonus, if they're going to have different effects that are going to be revealed to you, which location tags they have, okay? Because sometimes you can take, for example, some trick cards that are going to have specific tags, okay? Like we have over here, doesn't matter, it's something that regards to the city. But later when you're going to publish one of the treaties, you're going to have different tags. So is this something that I want to keep with me? Is this something that I don't mind actually placing over here and publish this treatise? It's super important, and I really like how at the end everything actually touches each other. Having said that, I do have a problem with the multiple boards that we have over here. We did see it in Endless Winter, okay, the other game of Fantasia games that for now I remember, or I would like to at least compare this aspect. I don't understand the thing of just having multiple boards, okay? So I think that in the normal game, this playmat, this board doesn't exist because this is only a display. But again, this is another place where we need to place some content. But I'm not so sure how come the city over here and also the meeting table are in different boards. I think that it's relatively small just to combine both of them into one board and then actually make some more connection between the different things, because right now it feels like this whole thing is a complete, well, not a complete, I'm exaggerating, but this thing over here is just a different small game from what the main game is all about. So again, yes, things that are going to do are eventually going to connect you to the city, into the different districts and locations, but it's kind of felt forced, and I feel that even with a small thing of just connecting the boards together and maybe art or just something that is a little bit different, you will be able to connect these two places, so you will be able to look at both of them at the same time, and it's not going to seem like two completely different parts of the game. So this is one of the things that kind of bothered me over here, and kind of not clear into the terms of the game experience. But other than that, and if you already made it through the small nuances in the rules, I think that Unconscious Mind is 100% an enjoyable game. I think that this, alongside with other two titles, Inferno and Andromeda's Edge, are really the €3 that pulled me back in right when I thought I was out. They pulled me back in to the Euro world again. I was kind of starting to distance myself from Euro games just because, I didn't find anything that was interesting for me in new titles or something like that. And these three titles, with Unconscious Mind being one of them, really pulled me back in, and I really like playing this game at different player counts. Okay, playing at two players, is just as interesting as playing at 3 or 4 players, which is I simply love this type of games that you can play in every player count, and you don't need something like more or another module or another whatever. It's just interesting. Now, with this game, we have also an expansion. I a little bit forgot how it's called. I want to say something that involves nightmares or something like that. It's somewhere over there. I didn't touch it yet. Not that, not the solo mode, and none of the modules. From reading about the modules, I would say that those are relatively simple things to integrate into this game. If you already feel that you're comfortable with Unconscious Mind, feel free to add one of these small modules, or all of them if you feel like it. It doesn't add a lot of rules. It does add a little bit of small changes, and I guess it's going to help to the replayability. I don't think I'm going to touch the expansion anytime soon, because I already feel that this game is a lot, which kind of triggers for me a question, not even regarding specifically Unconscious Mind. Do I really need for every game an expansion just from the get-go? I mean, of course, it's my fault. I backed this game in its deluxe version with expansions and whatever. Not so sure I need it, to be honest with you. I'm really not so sure. So I'm guessing if you're into solo mode, this is, again, something that you might want to check. I didn't do it. I might do a video for solo mode as well. That's actually pretty interesting. I'll look into that, because I think that can be pretty cool. But expansions, and again, it already has a lot over here. So just with adding more elements, I'm guessing that it's going to contribute to the game quite a lot. Not so sure it's going to worth the complexity, okay, of the new complexity, because I did looked a little bit into the Nightmare expansion, and it does look like you're going to add there different things. Even the dial itself, the inside dial, is going to be replaced. Not so sure it's going to be worth the complexity, the added complexity, but it is worth checking out. So, finished with the gameplay, which is a good experience, and everything that I just said. Let's move over to components and the value of the game. The components over here in this game are okay. And I'm saying it, to be honest with you, in kind of a good way. The publisher, Fantasia Games, didn't go really overboard with all the components. It feels for a deluxe edition that it is okay, even though I have to be honest with you, I think that I could have managed completely with a retail version of this game, just a normal one, because the changes over here are not dramatic, okay? I'll give you an example. Instead of having these miniatures over here, which really, again, because you're a little bit detached from the city, I don't know, they're not doing anything. And I think that the normal meeples that are coming with the basic game could have been totally okay. They're seal-screened meeples, which are kind of cute, to be honest with you. I think I even prefer them. This is one thing. Also, some things that were upgraded are not so clear for me what was the upgrade from. And I'll give you a small example. Let's take this office board again that we have over here, and we have this treating markers over here. Now, this is actually the component from the basic game, because the other component that you have from the deluxe edition is kind of not great. I don't want to play with it. It's much less clear. You don't have this silk screened heart in the middle, so it feels a little bit weird, you know? I know it's a small thing to pay attention to or even to talk about, but I mean, these are the differences that we have with the components. I think that the one upgrade that I like the most of here is actually the ink pot. Give me 1 second. I'm going to grab a normal one. So this is actually the difference. I hope that you can see it over here. I'm going to place it just like this. This is what is coming with the basic game, and this is what is coming with the upgraded materials. So this just looks like an oversized Monopoly pawn, and this is actually looks really much better. I think this is the component that I like the most over here, and feels pretty cool. The rest of the components, I'm like, it is okay. Another thing that I'm not so sure what does it give me or something like that is the special foil cards, you know, that are kind of like more blingy. I understand that it's supposed to be like a dream, so maybe they wanted to give some sort of an aspect to it, but to be honest with you, the art is already really great. I really like it. It gives me kind of mysterium, you know, a feeling of abstract or something like that that relates to dreams. I think that the art here is already awesome. I'm not so sure that I really needed this foil thingy just to have this effect or whatever it is. But again, maybe it's like small things to complain about. I'm just wondering how much cost you could have saved if you wouldn't have done these components. Maybe it's not a lot, but I mean, this is at least from what I've seen. Again, we're talking about components. Not so sure why the dial board over here needed to be that huge. I mean, look at the markers. They're pretty small. And even if you're going to put all the marker, like you're never going to find yourself in this situation. I think that this dial could have been, and I'm not exaggerating with you, I'm guessing half, if not 60% at least from the actual size, smaller, and then maybe try to integrate, because again, you have 3 different boards for one player, okay? It doesn't make sense. It's too big. I don't need the tiles. The tiles are huge. I think you could have made them smaller. I truly don't understand some of the decisions over here. All of the details that you have on the player board. Again, this is the information that I talked to you about, that you can find it. It's just somewhere. And I don't know if I really need all of this information over here. I think that a good player aid, 1, 2, 3 pages, small kind of thingy would have helped a lot. And I think you could have integrated the whole 3 player boards into one player board. Size-wise, I think that we've seen bigger personal player boards in other games. I think it could have worked just fine. And also, of course, I'm going to repeat it. I don't understand the decision of doing 2 different components, 2 different boards for these 2 things. I again think that they could have made one board to rule all of them. Okay, so that is pretty much about it. Components are okay. So at the end, is the game worth it? I think that for 168 euros that I paid, and it is including VAT and delivery, this is you have here a game. Is it worth 170 euros? I mean, it might if you like the theme. Okay, I can tell you that it feels that the game is very thematic. I'm a little bit, going away from the components and the value of the game. Let's talk about the theme 1 second. I do think that the game is very thematic, which is awesome in general in board games, because at some point, if a game doesn't have a theme, then it again feels like take 2x and convert it to y, etc. The theme here is really well felt. Every step on the way, placing your ideas, taking a notebook tile, you're actually talking in the terms of the game. Well, maybe again not in this dial, because there's no way. My God, I even forgot the different titles that they have for the different colors. I always just said I'm going to move on purple 2 or on green 2. I never used. My God, I don't want to take too much of your time, but they're like freedom or passion or something like that. And I'm like, no, it's a little bit too much. But besides of that, I think that the game, again, is very thematic when you're talking about curing your clients, your patients, you're moving away or you're taking away the grief layer and then you're treating the dreams. No, it's awesome, okay? But at the same time, going to the locations, I'm like, wait, where is the theme over there? Just moving from one location to another in Vienna, I want to say. I can't really see the theme over there unless, of course, we're talking about the different places the Freud used to go to. I don't know. It feels a little bit too much. So if you like the theme, if this is a game that is going to hit your table again, is it worth the amount of money? I want to say yes, but at the same time, I'm not so sure that if I would have seen this in a shop for 170 euros or even a little bit higher because the shop has to make some money as well, I'm not so sure I would have picked it up. I don't know if it's worth the money. I think that it's better to wait. Not that we have a choice right now, but I think it would have been better to wait for a second-hand copy of this game and take it for less money. I don't know if this game is actually worth 170 euros. So all in all, you guys, just to summarize everything that we've had over here, I think that Unconscious Mind is a great game that I still didn't explore the solo or the expansion that it comes with. It's not so easy to learn, not the most complicated. So if you're coming across a good how to play or playthrough, I suggest for you to do that just to grasp the game a little bit quicker. And then mechanism per mechanism, the game is not that complex, just the small nuances that we have in the rules. Production wise, the game is okay, nothing to run and tell about, but the table presence over here is kind of cool with the different colors. It looks it looks pretty good. The theme over here, the game is very thematic. You're speaking in terms of the game all the time, which kind of sucks you into this world of psychoanalysis. And price-wise, I think that you might want to wait for a second-hand copy if you'll be able to get it at a good price, since what I paid for this Kickstarter, 170 euros, including VAT and delivery, is a little bit, I think, too much that what I wanted to take out on this game. Guys, thank you so much for watching. I truly appreciate it. Feel free to check out my video of a playthrough with explanations over in Board Game Co. I'm going to leave the link down below in the description of the video. Thank you very much for watching. Take care, and I'll see you next time.